Well, good evening, and on behalf of the Australian Calabresi Cultural Association, I want to welcome you to the second episode of our program, Sono Calabresi, which is a chat with friends who are of Calabresi origin. The aim of the program is to provide members of our community an opportunity to tell a part of their story and thereby achieve two things. One, demonstrate the positive contribution that our community has made to the broader Australian community, and also to counter the negative stereotype that is often depicted in the media of the Calabresi. And our hope is that we can present a range of people across occupations and whatever, as well as generational differences, to show that there's been different experiences depending on the time at which people migrated, and also the work and their involvement in the broader community. So all are welcome, and if there's anyone who's watching, who's interested in participating, or you know of anyone who's interested in participating, please contact us either through the email or the web page and give us your details, and we'd love to have you on the program. Last week we had a young chef working in Sydney as the first of our guests, Carlos Staropoli, who, by the way, will be giving a cooking demonstration on the 7th of October, and those interested will be receiving an invitation, and they need only click on the link and be able to join. Tonight's guest is in a slightly different category. A, he's much older, I'm sure he doesn't mind my saying that, and B, he's had a varied experience, not only here, but also in France and in Calabria. And our guest tonight is Vincent Daniele, who is a civil and structural engineer. And welcome, Vince, and thanks for participating in this chat. And as I said, our aim is to simply present the experiences that different people have had in our community. Now, I take it you were born in Calabria?
Yes.
And I said you're not old, but how young are you?
I've got 77
Okay,
right. Next November.
Whereabouts were you born?
In Chiaravalle Centrale, province of Catanzaro.
Province of Catanzaro. Yeah. And what, your parents, they were also born in Calabria? Or?
Yes, yeah. My father from Augusto,
right.
My mother from Chiaravalle. Augusto is the sixth guy.
Right.
To the there.
And what did they do? I think
my father was in the army.
Right.
He retired from the army, and then in 1948, after the war, immigrated in France.
Okay.
And my mother, she was home before.
Yeah. Did you have siblings, brothers or sisters?
Oh yes, we are 7 with me on a family.
How many?
7.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
4 boys and 3 girls.
And where do they live?
All in Australia now.
Oh, okay. And your parents, I take it, are deceased?
My mum is deceased, yeah.
Yeah.
Deceased.
And your dad?
The same.
Yeah. All right. And you mentioned that you went to France in 1948.
48, yes.
You were a baby.
4 years old.
There you go. And so you did all your studies in France?
I did all my study in France, yeah, all. From the elementary school to the uni.
Yeah. What did you study?
But I studied in Lyon, University of Lyon, Claude Bernard, civil and structural engineer.
Right. And so what, you were 4, so you grew up in France, basically?
I grew up in France, yeah. I grew up there all my life there.
Yeah. And were you in Lyon? Where were you living?
No, I was in Savoy.
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 Whereabouts that some people may not know where that is.
Savoy is the south of France, okay, which in 1860 used to be Piemontese.
Right.
From Manuel of Savoia.
Right.
Until Garibaldi came in Calabria, took all the south off.
Yeah. Tell me, and do you remember, or do you know what prompted your dad in 1948 to
My
leave?
dad, okay, my dad, he was, after the army, he was Maresciallo, the Carabinieri. That's what they appointed him. And he had a little bit of problem with good people, good people. He didn't want to go under their foot. And then what he did says, I better resign and go away, because he had to protect his family.
Okay. And so all of you left and went. Were some of your siblings born in France?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, 3 of them.
All right. And what are your recollections of your life in France?
It was a good life. When as a young kid there, I got to school, the French people used to be racist, very racist against Italians. Because, as you know, it was just the end of the war, and the Italians started the war against the French. And what they used to say, you give you Italians give us the knife on the back.
And how did that racism manifest itself?
Oh, it manifested in the bullying to you when you got to school. It was like a bullying thing. They used to come and fight you. Matter of fact, the parents used to tell the kids, "Oh, fight them, the Italian, fight them." Until until I grew up when I was 10, 15, 10, 11, and then I defend myself. I didn't give a damn anymore.
Yeah. All right. And you qualified as a civil and structural engineer?
Yes. Yeah.
In France?
In Lyon.
And now, did you and your family visit Calabria whilst you were living
every year?
Every year.
Every year. I used to go to Calabria every year, every 15th of August.
So you never... Yeah, so you never lost the language in the sense that a lot of people that migrated to Australia have lost the language.
Never. My father was very hard on this. He didn't want us to speak French inside the house.
Right.
We had to speak Italian or Calabresi.
Yeah, and I think once you graduated, you started working as an engineer with what? Is it Delphi or?
Citra.
Chitra.
Citra.
And how long did you?
Long I was, I started working with them, I think it was 66, 67, something like this. I can't remember exactly. And then in 1968, they asked me to come to Australia, which I didn't want to come.
Yeah, why were you asked to come to Australia?
Because the Citra and Godefra, they had won a lot of infrastructure in Australia. Right. To the government, right? And they had it said because because it was an international company, they says, look, we open up a road there in Australia. Vince, I want you to go there with a few other, 4 of us. And I said, no, I want to go there. I don't want to go in Australia, this earth, the end of the earth, and just to see kangaroo and bloody wheat. I don't want to go there and ship. I don't want to go.
Okay. So
the thing is, I was only 22, 23. And then
were you married?
I had everything.
Were you married at that time?
No.
So you were single?
I was single still when they asked me the first time.
Yeah. What did you know about Australia at that time?
But see, what's the good in Europe when you study geography, science, and like this. And through the geography and history, I learned that Australia used to be one of the big country, right, island, with the productive, the main productive was the sheep, the wool, and the wheat. Yeah. That's what it was, okay? And that's what I learned. And I didn't want to go there. I said, no, I want to go there. I lose my things over, because I used to do gymnastics on those days. Yes. Still, right? Yeah. And then I had my friends, I used my soccer. I used to go every weekend in Italy to watch the soccer. We used to travel. In here.
And as you said, you used to go to Calabria every year. That would have been easy from Savoy.
Every year. Oh, 24 hours I was there with the train.
Australia.
With the train was 24 hours. And when I had my car, 18 hours I was there. It was a caravan.
Yeah. And so you were reluctant to come, but nevertheless you did come.
But I was forced.
When did you arrive?
I was forced. And then they asked me, I think it was April, March of 1969. And they said to me, it's now, you have to go.
And when you were, what were your first impressions when you arrived in Australia?
Very bad.
Reluctant to come.
Very bad, to be honest with you.
What was bad about it?
I'll tell you, we arrived here with, it was the first time I took applying, the first time. And I come here with the 707 Boeing Qantas. It was a good flight, but we stopped. We had 3 or 4 stopping, all right? And we stopped the first time in Dubai. And then when I arrived to this airport in Dubai, the heat, it was killing me. The heat, the tropical heat. And then the nits everywhere. You know, these things, the nits. And then we arrive in Karachi, worst again. And then Singapore was worst again. For me, it was the end. Anyway, we arrived in Sydney. From Sydney, we fly back here in Melbourne with the TI airline. I think it was the end, or Einset or TI, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And when we flew over Melbourne, I saw this little house with the red roof. It was all red roof, tin roof.
Yeah.
My God, where they took us.
Yeah.
And anyway, we arrived in Essendon Airport. From there, my father rang my auntie here in Australia, called my cousin, and they come to pick us up. And I start for about a week with them until
you had an aunt.
I had an auntie in Fitzroy.
When had they migrated to Australia?
They migrated in 1949.
So they were, again, one of the early ones.
One of the early ones, yeah. 50, 49.
So,
50.
and your aunt, was that your father's sister or?
No, my mum's sister.
Your mother's sister.
Mum's sister.
Okay.
And she was able to see us, after so many years.
Yeah.
A week after, we had our own house because the company gave us the house and everything,
Right. And where were you living?
In Clifton Hill. I still remember the street, a beautiful area,
Very trendy now.
Gold Street, magnificent.
Yeah.
But
what was it like at the time?
But the time was hard because I remember I was going to the office in Collins Street about a week after. We had an office in Collins Street. And while I had the Collins Street, I had my car parked behind the Fiscal Garden, behind the Parliament House. And also, when I was walking there with my bag, I saw a couple of men follow me. Young men. I said, geez, what's going on here? Anyway, a lady passed by and I said, excuse me. They said, oh, no, come with me because here, those people here, they want, that's what they are. They attack when you are by yourself. But I never had any problem. Never had any problem in Australia. Okay. Never.
Yeah. I want to ask you, in Savoy, were there other Calabresi living?
Oh, plenty.
There were.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Calabresi.
And obviously in Australia, your aunt was living here. Did you meet other Calabresi through your aunt?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, friends, family, friends, and friends from the Samten Caravale. Not many, but few of them. Yeah. Yeah, they knew my family, my mum and dad. They didn't know us, but they knew my mum and dad. Yeah. And
so you started to work, and obviously, although you were reluctant, you nevertheless remained in Australia because you're still...
No, because I put a goal with my wife because then he was married, and I had a little baby, 14 months old baby.
Right.
And I said to my wife, look, what do? We sacrifice ourselves for a couple of years until Nadia should become old enough to go back to school, and then we go back to home. But the problem is that after a couple of years you are here, you start feeling, the friendship and the things. Then I had the opportunity, to go to uni. I used to have my wage. That's what the thing. Because what happened, I had, I don't know if you recall the office, immigration office where you was on those days. Remember this big green building in front or a little bit down of the Simon's Hospital.
Yeah.
Anyway, they called me to go there one day. So I telephone call, I went there and I said, I was this Egyptian which you speak 7 or 8 language. He says, Mr. Daniel, how are you? Good. I have bad news for you. We were 4 of us. We were 4 engineers here, all young. I said, I have bad news for you. He says, hey, what's the bad news? You have to leave the country next month because your visa expires. And I says to him, I said, are you sure? Yeah. Now, can you please repeat again? He says, you have to leave the country next month. Thank you very much. I will prepare everything around my wife. Darling, can you please prepare all the suitcases because we leave next month? My wife says to me, no, that's not true. We leave. We go. They kick us out. Anyway, what happened? We told the company we had to send it because in those days you couldn't communicate by telephone like today. Take the phone. Because there was a telegram, or you had to make an appointment through the telephone, right? Make 48 hours. You had to mark, and then you can call. I sent that telegram to my managing director. The director said, "I'm sorry, no, that's what the problem. We have to leave the country on the 15th of I think it was August, September. We have to leave." And then he replied, he says, no move, stay there, because we didn't finish the contract. We still want you there. Anyway, what he did, he flew here, the managing director. A week after he was here. And we went together to the office, the immigration office, and explained the situations. And then I said, look, gentlemen, not good to fight on this because I'm going, I want to go. And unless I said, because my idea was to study English in England, to have an English degree, because I want to go to America. And he says, unless you give me the opportunity to study here in Australia, not just to me, to all 4 of us, then I have no problem. We stay here. They agreed to pay all, and we stay. And then after, I didn't move it.
So after you studied, you decided to stay in Australia.
That's it.
I want to ask you.
My daughter Nadia, she was old enough. She started school. And then,
yeah. Sorry, I should have asked you, how many children do you have?
2, 1 boy and 1 girl.
Oh, okay.
And 4 grandchildren, 1 princess and 3 princes.
You're a wealthy man, you see. You've got 4 grandkids. Oh. You mentioned that there was racism in Savoy.
Oh, very bad.
What about Australia? Did you find any racist?
Oh, I never had any problem in Australia, to be honest with you. Never had. I had only once there, the park there, but no.
Yeah.
No.
And so we're talking, though, late 60s, early 70s, aren't we?
No, 69 to 72.
And all right. All right. Now, you've also been involved with the Calabria Club, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I designed.
How many years?
Oh, from, I don't know, 74, 75.
Yeah. Are you still involved?
Oh, yes. Vice President, I'm still there.
Yeah.
That's
and
my...
Are you on the board of the Calabria Club?
Yes. I was president here, plus a life member.
Yeah, and you're a life member. Do you hold any, are you the vice president or?
Vice president,
yeah.
I was the president, and then I let it go because I was too busy with my company.
And I think Sam Sposato is the president.
Sam too, yeah, after me took Sam,
That's
yeah.
Right. All right. And the club has been going for a long time, hasn't it? I think it celebrated its 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary last February.
Yeah. In that time, have you found that the needs of the Calabresi in Australia, or specifically in Melbourne, have you found that their needs have changed at all in terms of what?
But now, yes, they changed because of the things, but not on those days. 60 and 70, you had to have some kind of association or clubs to be together because they were like a sheep on a paddock. Yeah, that's what we were. And then that's what we did. What we did, we tried to unify all them together, put them together, and that's why we built the club. And not just the Calabresi, everybody.
So the club was basically a meeting place.
That's what it was.
Where you could go and meet people from Calabria.
That's what it is. That's what it was up there.
Be amongst friends.
That's it. And you know the Calabria Club, on those times, used to have 1,200 members. Family.
How many members does it have at the present time?
It's about 350, 400.
Yeah.
Family.
So it's declined significantly in terms of membership.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And is that because, as I asked you earlier, the needs of the community have changed? Is that?
Yes, a lot. It changed a lot because you don't need any more. See, they don't need any more clubs. The young people are not attracted by the clubs association unless you attract them to bring them there. But give them what?
Yeah.
You tell me, give them what? Unless you do something like the Calabria. What we did, I restructured the Calabria Club a few years ago by introducing the language, Italian language at Calabria Club. That's why we have school. Okay, we have 3 or 4 school college. Come there 3 times a week to the Calabria Club, and they learn the cultural side of the Calabresi. They learn to do the older tribes, you know, which we used to have in Calabria. They learn a lot of things, which is good.
And how is the club funded?
The functions and that's it.
Right. Okay. Does it get funding from the regional government of Calabria at all? No. Okay. All right. And I've got to say, you're also a member of our association, the Australian Calabresi Cultural
I'm proud too.
And I think you'd agree that our aim is different to the aims of the clubs.
Yes, different.
And do you think it's an essential service that our association is
Yes,
providing
it
at the
is.
moment?
It is. It is. It is. If we can break through the young, to try to introduce the young people to the associations, all right, and get to the university and bring them in, that's what's got to make the difference.
Yeah. All right.
And also we have to work to have more power with the region Calabria.
Well,
and that's why this consulta now, we already have meetings. I'm telling you now, we have already meetings. Okay, that we got to make a board of director big, which they deal directly with.
Well, I was going to ask you about the consulta, because you've also been the consultore, haven't you? And
yes.
Can you explain, first of all, what is a consultore?
The consultore is to represent Region Calabria abroad.
Okay, but specifically in Australia?
Australia, America, everywhere. But my job is Australia.
How long have you been consultore?
I've been consultor from 1992.
Oh, okay. That's a long time.
Long time. But I've been consultor, I've been not consultant, I've been what they call expert in immigration. Consultor the last 10 years, 12 years.
All right. And am I correct that there are consultore in other countries throughout the world?
Yes, they are.
And what, they all meet in Calabria once or twice a year?
Once a year. Once a year.
And what's the function of that worldwide consulta? What is it that they're meant to do and tell the regional government?
What they're meant to do, the constitution of the consulta tells you that you have to promote the regional Calabria 360 degrees, from the culture and everything else, from the goods, what they produce in Calabria to bring to the world, open up to the world. But as you know, because you've been a couple of times there and consult yourself, right? As you know, some people are there and they come just for holiday.
Yeah, and I've got to say this to you, because you remember at the conference last year in Cosenza, our association,
yes.
The president of the region, the province of Cosenza,
which is Franco Iacucci, yes.
Yeah, he was very critical of the way that the consulta functioning.
Yes.
Is that a generally held view of the politicians in?
Yes. I tell you, Franco Iacucci used to be before Orlandino Greco, used to be responsible of the consulta with Mario Oliviero. Okay, but he wants to do the consulta a little bit better. He wants the consulta to work. He wants to choose the consultor which he can dedicate for this, but they didn't want. Orlandino Greco and Mario Oliviero, this is not the association. They have to nominate the consultore, but they couldn't understand, because but nominating by the association is not somebody. He can nominate a friend. He can nominate somebody, but it's not you nominate because he can do his jobs, right? I nominate, for example, I'll give an example, Sam Aldrigat, because he's one of my friends, but he can do the job. That's what it is, and that's what is there. And you saw yourself.
I did.
Except though I criticized myself.
And I've got to say, I was singularly unimpressed by the way that a lot of the consultori were reporting. And the thing that struck me is that none of them thought about the future. It was all about, I held a dinner dance, pick a city, Adelaide, whatever, at which there were 200 people. Big deal. But how does that really help the Calabresi community? And what struck me is that there wasn't any, or there didn't appear to be, any coordinated approach to what the needs of the various communities were and how they could be actually met. And more importantly, it seemed to me that the politicians who were in control of it didn't really care what happened, as long as everything appeared to be running smoothly. Would you think that's a fair assessment?
Fair assessment, because you know, you saw myself, though I criticized them there. I'm not scared to criticize everybody. For example, this year, right, the new president, they didn't want to do nothing to do with the consulta.
Right.
And what I did,
she's from a different party, though, isn't she?
She's a Berlusconi.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, centro-destra they call.
Yeah,
And what happened now, because the Constitution tells you that the new president has to call the consulta 30 days after she's elected.
yeah,
She didn't. She was recalled. She didn't want nothing to do with the things. And myself and Salvatore Tolomeo, which you met him there,
yeah.
we done a lot of open letter to newspaper, to TV there. We went to TG24, the TV. We went to the Corriere della Sera. We went to Quotidiano del Sud. We did those letters. On the end, because we used to bombard her with letters, she decided, she appointed someone to say, okay, I'm sick and tired to have all those letters. Please call the consulta. And that's why we are in a consulta now.
Oh, okay.
If not,
and
I think it's very upset with the most, right? Because nobody move a finger. Nobody's moved a finger. But then when you've done the job, then everybody write a letter.
But when you say nobody moved, you're talking about the other consultore.
Yeah, nobody did anything.
Uh,
I just received a letter now
but,
from a consultore, which never done nothing.
yeah.
He's in Switzerland, France, right? He done nothing for the last 10 years. Okay, and then he said, wrote a letter, said, thank you very much. No, I wish this and the consultant. Then I have to reply to him.
This is from Australia.
No, that's from France.
France. But again, you would agree that from what I observed when I was there as an observer, there were people from Australia that really didn't do anything.
No put words in my mouth because I have to fight them after, you know.
No, and that's why I quite
you know, Vince, you know,
yeah.
And I explained to you many times, all right, what I'm thinking about some of Australia.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about that.
But it seems that I was leading to it. Therefore, seems to me that the criticism made by the president of the province was justified to an extent.
Justified, yes. I applaud him. Matter of fact, they called me because they saw me on the TV, right? Because he was our meeting, the conference was through the TV, all right? And they says, Vince, you applaud something which you are part. I says, no, I'm sorry, I'm not part. I'm a consultant, but not part.
Yeah.
Of this shamans.
But that's the criticism that I have of the politicians, though, is that it's all very well to criticise, but they've not done anything to rectify the problems that they've identified.
Okay, now explain to you why, Vince. Sorry to interrupt you. Frank Giacucci, when he was in charge of the consult, he wants to change your system. He wants to change complete things. He wants to nominate people who can be able to go to Brussels and say, listen, that's what we require from you people, right? But then Mario Oliveira didn't want to do this. He stopped him. He says, no, I don't want you to do this. And then he said, all right, if you don't want me to do these things on the consult, then I'm going away. That's why he left. Okay.
So therefore, what do you think the government will want the consultant to do this year?
Okay.
Yeah,
now. But we have already project in line. We discussed already through Zoom meeting, okay? Once we have the board of director elected, okay? Then now we got to work on this big project, but not project of 5,000 or 6,000 euros. No, we don't do this anymore. We cancel this 2,000 euro, we cancel this 20,000 euro. We will go for millions. Now, the first thing we do, right? The first thing we just put on now, we work on, they call the Casa Calabria, which we try to get something, old building or a convent or something, modify, restructure, and we can, all our young people from here, even the old people from here, they can go there, you know, and stay 15 days, 1 month free of charge, okay, through the funding. And that's what we try to do.
And where would this Casa Calabria be like?
Where we have to find these things here between, not far away from the beach and not far away from the mountain. We can see the two. And we were thinking to start from La Mezzia, start from there. And then we are looking for old building big, not just a house.
But these are dilapidated buildings which are unoccupied.
Unoccupied.
And which presumably you would try and persuade the regional government to donate.
Yes.
But as I understand it, the regional government doesn't have money. Where's the funding going to come from?
Doesn't have money.
Yeah.
Means they have money.
Do they?
They have bloody money. But the thing is, look, when you have 200 million euro, I'm going to tell you something. You have 200 million euro, which they give to you to do project. They give you a time to do. And you don't have the project. What do you have to do with this 200 million? You have to give back. That's what happens every year.
But sorry, who gives the funds?
The funds come from United Europe, from the.
No, it's the European government.
The
European government.
Yes, they give you the money project. What they say, present the project and we give you the money. But when you present the project, give you the money, you have to do the project, not just sitting there, because you have a time.
Yeah. Well, why is it that, and I take it, my understanding is that that funding has been available for a number of years. Why is it that nothing has happened?
Because people are not there to the project. Matter of fact, look, we had 5 years ago, we had 12 million euro.
How much?
12 million euro.
Right.
Had the consulta. We used to call the Fondazione Calabresi nel Mondo. Mm-hmm. And the chairman of this foundation, the president, used to be a politician, a deputy, Pino Galati. Mm-hmm. Okay? Pino Galati came and saw me at Bibo 501 conference. Signor Daniele, abbiamo tutti questi soldi, we have all those money, 12 million, we have to start to do some function, some project in Australia and the world. So, yeah, I'm ready. When you're ready, we'll do that. We received those 12 million. We received. Region Calabria received. But what he did, Pino Galati, he put a lot of people on payroll, even dead people put on payroll. We found that this money was not project, it was done everywhere. And that's what Salvatore Tolomeo and I, we went to see a judge there, and we give them all the paperwork for the judge. And the judge opened up the case, and that's why Galati went in jail. Now the court is got to be on the 26th of October. That's it. And we lost the 12 million euro.
Maybe I shouldn't ask this, but is it Tony Galati? Wasn't he?
No, Tony Galati. Nothing to do with Tom. They're not even family members.
They're not related.
Not related.
I wanted you to make that clear.
No, because we didn't want him there. No. Tony Galati, Pino Galati is somebody from La Mezia.
Yeah.
Deputy. His father used to be a notary, whatever it was. And then we used to trust him as a politician, okay, be the president. And then what he did, he had 110 people on payroll. And he used to get himself from the 12 million, 14,000 euro a month.
Yeah. But so the funding, if I get this right, gets funding from the European Parliament.
Yes.
Then the regional government can allocate funds to Calabresi nel Mondo or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's up to
with a project. You have to present the project.
Yeah. But this is my point. Is it then the consultore who, presumably in consultation with the community in which they live, decides on what projects are required?
Yeah, for example, I'll give you an example. For example, try between our associations, all right? Just so we want to build a school for the Calabresi, we want to build something for the old people, all right? Like yourself, the retired people, they have to go to Assisi or whatever they go, and they have to put so much money in advance before they go in. And when we done this kind of Assisi, or when we done San Carlo those days, I was in a committee. He was not those arms. You just put your pensions and then you start there. Today it's not. They change all the constitution, they change everything. Yeah. What we want to do, I think we should do in Australia, Melbourne, whatever, have a project which we build small house for the pension people to live as a community, free of charge. Not free of charge, just for the pension, 70% of the pension stay there, and the rest they can do anything they want. That's what we want to achieve in Australia, and that's what we're working on. Yeah, I think that's the ACCA we come in through.
Yeah,
as a big social professional.
Well, we're certainly interested in advancing the Calabresi.
We made an application to the Calabresi Club, and we had already approved $1 to $1.
Right.
No? From the federal government.
Here in Australia or from
In Australia, in Australia.
All right, so
Right?
you got to go.
Bring some money from the region Calabria, some money from the federal here.
Yeah, and that also leads into the notion of allowing the community to express a view about what the needs are.
I think it's the
including the young, because the needs of the young might be different to your needs and my needs.
That's what I'm saying. We have to start working on the young people, because they might have their different needs than what we have.
Okay. You know? And how do you think we can attract the young people to participate?
By what I believe is by do some big project. Like I remember when I used to be the vice president of the Italian Art Festival with Luciano Bini. Okay, I used to be the vice president. We used to do a lot of projects to attract the people. I used to remember Lygon Street was full. We used to have a month of festival. We used to have the 2 weeks of Festival dei Due Mondi. Okay, today you don't have this anymore. The people, they're gone.
Yeah, well, interesting you say that, but you may remember that earlier, I think it was earlier this year, or maybe late last year, but a group called the Rustica Project brought out Mimmo Cavallaro.
Yes.
And the Rustica Project, as I understand it, is anxious to try and preserve Southern Italian, which includes Calabresi, folk music.
Yes.
And well, you consider that a worthwhile project? And
that's what we should do at school for these things here. Like Stefano Scunci, if we got the consult, if you come to consult with me together, I'll take you in Milano, right? Which is the big association, the Greek Magna Grecia, right? Of Stefano Scunci. You met Stefano there, right?
Yeah, I did.
He has these big associations which attract thousands and thousands of young people every 2 or 3 months. But they do a lot of things, a lot of video, do the dancing, they do a lot of, that's what we should do in Australia.
But why haven't we done it yet?
I don't know, because I can't find the right people.
All right. Okay. But
a lot of people here, they are interested, Vince.
Sorry?
A lot of people here, they are interested to get to a dinner dance.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm not I'm interested in a big other project.
Yeah, all right. So that we're looking then, hopefully, within the next 12 months, at some sort of forum where people in the community can be asked to express their views about needs that they see as requiring to be filled for the community. And
I agree. We should put it through the paper. Like a referendum. What you need.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably more than just putting it in the paper. The other aspect I understand, and some people may not be aware of it, but there are programs offered by the region for young people to go to Calabria to study, aren't there?
Yes.
Can you tell the?
I give you the thing I said. Give to you the documents, which it tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you look at the constitution of the consulta, it gives you an example of how to get some kind of money from there, some kind of aid, right? For the young people to go and study there, for the people that want to go back in Italy and live in Calabria. And they pay for the transport, they pay for everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've got to make one point. When you gave us the documents, our association actually disseminated the information, and a number of people responded saying it's a bit late because you need to plan these things, usually at least a year in advance. So it may be that what's required is to allow people to have the information early, so that, for example, if they're studying for year 12, they can't go because it's September, October.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
So that they could certainly plan to go the year after if they're going to have a gap year.
We can do this.
So the more time they have, I think you'll find that the more interest there will be, because from what I've seen, I think it's an excellent program, because the regional government does pick up most of the cost.
Yes.
And it's an opportunity not only to study, but to meet other young people from all over the world that are interested in the same Calabresi.
You can get to the place where your parents born or where your grandfather born. They see your roots. You think, you know, that's the most important, you know. But see, all the young people we send there for the last 4 or 5 years, right? When they come back here, they give us a lot of good report. You know, through the radio. It says that it was an experience, was things of my life.
Well, it's like a lot of things, you know, ignorance is a terrible thing. And if you're ignorant, you're ready to accept the worst. Whereas when you go and you see what it's really like, you realise that it's nothing like negative.
But Vince, you know yourself, a lot of our community, they doesn't know Calabria, who is Calabria. I travel around Calabria, like you did too, right? We have things which no other people in the world they have. The borghi, those beautiful borghi. That's what we should promote the region Calabria through ourselves, through our association here in Australia.
And there are products there which are unique because of the resources that are available. But again, I think you might agree with me, what was evident at the conference last year, there wasn't a great deal of knowledge held by the locals as to the best way to go about marketing their products overseas. So I think there's a need to try and help in that way, to get the people in Calabria to think about Australia as a destination, and B, to get them to be able to see that they may need to spend money to get market penetration if they want to sell their products into Australia. Because what I gleaned from last year is that everybody's keen to export, but nobody's prepared to do the work or expend the money to achieve the result.
That's your second word, expend the money.
Yeah, well...
Because my things, when I got there, I always say, you want to bring your product there, make sure they are certified. They cost a lot of money to certify. But unless you certify, you can't bring it to Australia.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Now, for example, we did, I think it was 2017 or 16, we did expositions here, right, of the Calabresi goods, all right? Then Calabria Club. It was about a week. And through these things here, all the entrepreneurs used to come here, right? 3 of them or 4 of them, they would contract here. Right? They would contract to sell their wine, like to sell the pasta, to sell the product in Madisera San Bruno. You know? And that's how we should bring here people. It'll be interesting to see
whether the Calabresi living in Calabria can actually see what we see being outsiders. And, you know, the irony is that they should consider that, you know, there are in fact more Calabresi living outside Calabria than there are living in Calabria. So they've got theoretically, they've got a market of about 7 million people worldwide.
Yes.
The other thing I'd like to chat with you about is this, do you think it's necessary to have a close relationship with the regional government in Calabria, or that we can achieve some of our goals at least without that connection?
Vince, I'm going to be straight. If you try to go by yourself, try like me, go by myself there, I want you nothing. I want you nothing. Because the shoulder are there, that's the regions, the politicians. Unless you go to politicians, they won't listen to you.
But from what I've seen, they don't listen anyway.
No.
That's the problem.
No.
Yeah.
I think next conference, we have to program differently. We have to approach differently. We have to program in advance a lot.
You've been muted. I can't hear you, Vince. Can you hear me?
Set.
Okay. So we were saying the difficulty that I perceive, Vince, is how you can actually not only establish but maintain a working relationship with the politicians in Calabria, who appear to me to be capable of changing their minds almost overnight.
Well, look, once you establish a relationship with them, all right, they will maintain this relationship. They maintain with me. You know, you saw yourself, I can go anywhere there, right? And I welcome. The thing is, when the next time we get there, we have to get there with a big approach of project. What do we want to do exactly?
Well, we can certainly think of a big project, Vince.
Okay. No, I'm telling you.
That won't be the problem. All right. Well, it's gratifying to hear, because often you see, my concern is that often, if funding is coming from the government expects an element of control, and I think that's not really a good thing. Right?
No, but control is not to control how you spend your money. They want to know when you spend the money, and then how you spend the money, where you give the money.
Yeah.
Like all those paperwork. Now, because every parliamentarian, especially in Calabria, they're scared now. They're fried to be prosecuted. Okay? And that's why they want to have every bit of paperwork to justify the money where they went. That's why they ask us. Before, I remember when I was consultore with Calabresi, when I was with Scopelliti, they never asked this document. They never asked. They used to send $10,000 to each consultore in Australia.
I don't think we'd have a problem with transparency or accountability.
That's it. That's what they want.
Providing that, you know, it was reciprocated.
That's what they want. But that's what they want.
Well, I
think we can't anyway, because
what I'm with you about is, and it might have been overtaken by events, but still at the present time, there are two representatives from Australia in the Italian Parliament.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
did you ever have aspirations to stand for Parliament?
I had the first time.
Yeah, and did you stand?
No, because I tell you one thing. Again, as Calabresi or Italians, we cut our legs, each other. We put wood through the legs, you know, baston through the legs. That's what they say. I was, but then somebody called me and he says, "Vince, I think you should let I got somebody." And that's what happened.
Yeah. I don't think that it's a question of Calabresi cutting their legs, but
not Calabresi, but Italians.
There's a story told about Golda Meir, who was the president.
I know.
As you know,
I don't want to comment these things here because
we
have a, you know yourself, you know, like
president.
You know the thing.
Trying to explain why she had difficulty getting the policy through, and she said, "Look, you know, Mr. President, when you walk into a room, even if there's 1,000 people, there's only one president."
Yes.
And she says, "When I walk into a room, even if there's only 10 people, there are 20 presidents."
20 presidents, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
And that's similar to the Calabresi and the Italians, right?
That's it, I'm saying. But look, you know yourself, that's a big organizations here, which has the power. That's the power, like in Calabria, for example, not Calabria, from the center of Italy, they are controlled, those are controlled with money. I give you, for example, €100, but you have to give me a couple of watts. And that's for the people that sell themselves. In here, it's different kind. This huge organizations, right, which it tells you, or tell you the retiree men how to vote, and to whom vote.
Yeah. Well,
you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do understand.
Okay.
But as I understand it, the referendum in Italy has got up, and the numbers of politicians are going to be reduced.
345.
And that might result in Australia losing.
Yes, losing.
The two representatives.
They will. We will lose the two representatives. Yes, we will lose. I spoke to Nicola last night.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "Yes, Vince, I'm here for like another 2 years, that's it." And my question was to him, says, "Nicola, but what are you going to do? Because if you can't present in Australia, what are you going to do? Why don't you do in Calabria?" "I'm working."
But he's a bit like you. He spent his youth in Germany.
Yeah, Germany and then in Australia. I met him when I arrived in Australia. I met him 4 years ago when I arrived in Australia. We used to be on some committee in Melbourne.
Yeah. All right. Now, clearly, have you thought about retiring? A lot of people retire.
I retire.
To Calabria, I mean, not
No, no, never. Politics is my blood.
I take it, therefore, it's fair to say that, notwithstanding your reluctance initially, you've come to love Australia.
Oh yeah, I love Australia.
Yeah.
I love Australia.
I want to ask you this. If you had the power to preserve one aspect of Calabresi culture, which part would you preserve? Which do you think is most worthy of preservation?
For me, it's the culture, Calabresi. I will maintain my culture, Calabresi.
Yeah.
Language, for start.
Yeah.
Language. That's
all right.
No, that's because I can communicate with the old people of 100 years old. I can communicate. You speak to them in Italian, you can't communicate.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
And it happened to me. I was in Canosa, province of Bari, a few years ago. I went to our house, a friend of mine, which used to study together in France with me, and I couldn't. The mother, she could speak a word of Italian. She used to do the old Albanese dialect. That's why.
That's an issue here, isn't it? Because a lot of us have lost the language.
Yes.
And the difficulty will be to devise programs that will attract people to study it and learn it once more. And that's why I said earlier that these programs run by the region where young people can actually go to Calabria to learn is ideal. And if anything, I think they should be extended. And conversely, I think it's also a good thing if we brought young people from Calabria here to Australia.
That's the aims. That's the aims.
All right. Well, look, Vince, thanks very much. I need to end to finish it off, but thank you very much. I think it's been very enlightening for me, and I hope it's been very enlightening for the other viewers. And hopefully, I think it'll demonstrate the contributions that have been made without people really beating their own drum for many years.
That's true.
And again, just to conclude, anyone who's interested in participating in the program is welcome. Vince, if you know anyone, give us their name.
I will.
Extend an invitation.
I will.
And thanks all. And again, just a reminder that on the 7th of October, there'll be a cooking demonstration